Hi all, my name is Dr. Linda Remark. I am an associate professor at Stark State College, and part of my teaching load every semester is the developmental reading courses. At the college, we have 2 reading courses that you are placed in based on your ACCUPLACER reading score. We have Technical Comprehension 101, which is the 100 level, and then Critical Analysis 102. Based on your ACCUPLACER score, you may be placed in technical comprehension, you may skip right to critical analysis, or ideally you skip both of those because you earn a 246 or higher on your ACCUPLACER reading portion. And so that obviously would be, I'm assuming, most of your goal so that you can save yourself both some time and money. So the purpose of this video is to just walk you through kind of the expectations of the ACCUPLACER reading portion of your test, as well as the key skills that not only the ACCUPLACER talks about, but in general the reading courses, so that you can kind of practice and be aware of these no matter what placement you end up in. So first, just a little bit about the ACCUPLACER reading. Overall, what the ACCUPLACER reading is doing is assessing your ability to derive meaning from the text that you read. And so the ACCUPLACER generally runs for the reading. You might have a 1-paragraph selection up to maybe 10 paragraphs. So it really does vary. And then the broad knowledge and categories that are being assessed are passages that include information and ideas, rhetoric, synthesis, and vocabulary. So before we really get into the links for the comprehension practice test for ACCUPLACER, I'm going to go ahead and go down to the key skills taught in reading courses. And so brushing up on these skills will both prepare you in case you need to take a reading course at the college, but also when you see these questions on the ACCUPLACER, because the ACCUPLACER does ask questions over skills that are covered in the reading sections. So in our reading sections and on the ACCUPLACER, you're going to see questions that may ask you about a main idea. So what does that mean? Hopefully you had some exposure to this concept before. The first thing you do, and we're going to be talking about the paragraph level right now, is you find the topic, the who or what. The who or what a paragraph is about. So that means that an author will either repeat their who or what over and over, or they might refer to it over and over. Based on that topic, you come to a main idea. It's the most important piece of information you're learning about the topic. It's going to be almost like a summary, is what I tell my reading students. It's a general summary of what is happening in a particular paragraph. So it could be directly stated, meaning it's right there in the paragraph, first sentence, last sentence, the work is done for you, or it's implied and you have to come to your own conclusion. That is what a main idea is, the most important sentence about what's going on in the paragraph. Now, as you know, a main idea is not by itself. There's not just one sentence in a paragraph, there are other sentences. So the next concepts we talk about are supporting details, and they have different jobs. There are 2 categories of supporting details: major supporting details and minor supporting details. So major supporting details directly support the main idea. So they give a brand new tip, example, reason, illustration, whatever it might be that connects directly back to that main idea. Now, a minor supporting detail, it's still going to be on the same topic because that's what the point of the paragraph is to introduce the same topic. But the minor supporting details are kind of like the nitty-gritty of the paragraph. They are going to support the major details. They're going to add on even more information. So a major supporting detail introduced an example of something. The minor supporting detail will go into even further detail about that example. That's their role in a paragraph. You may also be asked to come to an inference. So an inference is a conclusion based on evidence. So you might also call it conclusion, educated guess, or deduction. It's when it's not spelled out for you directly in front of you. An author has implied or maybe hinted, suggested their meaning, and you have to come to that conclusion. We do that with main ideas. We might do that with vocabulary. So that's the point of making an inference. Next in the reading classes, as well as really important role in the ACCUPLACER, is to be able to determine the meaning of unknown words. So we may use context clues. So context clues are hints or tips the authors give to help you understand an unusual or unknown word. So it might be a brand new word you've never seen before, or maybe that's using a word that you've seen but it's in a different kind of usage. And so a context clue might be an example or a synonym or antonym, and we're going to see some more examples of this in my PowerPoint presentation coming up next. So using context clues is helpful whenever you come across words you may not know, and that should be your first line of defense before going to a dictionary or online source to help you figure out the meaning of a word. In our reading classes, and on the ACCUPLACER, we need to be aware of patterns of organization, and these are ways in which the author structures their writing. So just like numbers, our minds can pick up on patterns, and we like to kind of be able to categorize those. Same thing with words. If we can kind of be able to recognize the organization of a paragraph, that if we can see, oh, this author is using compare and contrast, or this author is using examples, we can start to understand more of the overall meaning of the paragraph and walk away with better comprehension. And then finally, critical thinking, being able to kind of dig deeper than the surface level, start to look at fact and opinion, the author's point of view and bias to see if we can question or evaluate and then apply what we're learning to a current situation or connect to previous knowledge. So that is an overview of the main skills that we are taught in the reading courses, and you will see alluded to in questions on the ACCUPLACER. So now I'm going to go ahead and show you this PowerPoint. Again, normally if I were with you in person, we would kind of interact and go through this. I'm going to go ahead and show you this slide right here, and I want you, a little too big, I want you to try to go ahead and see if you can fill in those blanks. So if you need to pause the video for about a minute or so while you read through this paragraph, see if you can fill in, and it gives you a little clue with the beginning letters of each of those words. See if you can fill that in. Okay, hopefully you paused and everyone had a chance to go through. I'm going to go ahead and show you what the paragraph actually says. Maybe you're thinking right now, wow, you got maybe one of those words correctly, maybe two. Usually people get the dark one correct and sometimes the sunshine. So if you look, it probably looks completely different than you had anticipated. I normally have students, fill it in from kind of that parent point of view. Parents, children, infant, answer, father, mother. So that's normally the course people take because that is what it seems like it is. The reason I show this to my classes and to students in general is to kind of demonstrate the role of prior knowledge, how important it is to be aware of a topic as you're reading, as well as to not assume you know what's being read and you are very careful about your reading. So it's kind of a fun little activity to do that. So this PowerPoint, as I mentioned, kind of picks up on the last screen with some of these skills that we talked about. So I'm going to go through and you'll see these put into practice. So again, I'm going to go ahead and read this. If you prefer to pause it and someone in your group read it, that's fine as well. So here's our paragraph. Our job is to try to find the main idea. So it reads, exercising has many physical and emotional benefits. One benefit of daily exercise is toned muscles. Toned muscles provide support for the skeletal system and also help to burn calories more efficiently. Another benefit of exercise is increased flexibility. Flexibility can help to prevent injuries while participating in daily life activities. A third benefit of daily exercise is it can serve as a stress reliever. Exercise increases serotonin, a hormone that increases feelings of well-being and overall happiness. Weight loss is a final benefit of exercise. Walking 1 mile at a brisk pace burns about 100 calories. Exercising on a daily basis can help a person to live longer and enjoy an overall better quality of life. So hopefully as I read this, you could clearly tell that the topic is exercise or exercising. So if you recall from before, I said the topic is the who or what, and it is generally repeated or mentioned or referred to over and over, and that is definitely what's going on here. We are seeing the word exercise or exercising multiple times, so that is our topic. Now, in this case, our main idea is directly stated, and so we have to ask ourselves, well, what are we supposed to be learning about our topic? What's the most important thing we need to know? In this case, we are learning that exercise has many physical and emotional benefits. What I like to have my students do is when they think they find the topic, turn it into a question. What are the many physical and emotional benefits of exercising? If the rest of the paragraph can support or answer that question, you know you're on the right track. I also tell my students, look for these kind of, I call them cheat words. It's not foolproof, which means it's not 100% of the time, but often when an author uses words like many, several, various, they're trying to summarize an idea, and they do that and they include that in their main idea sentence. So there's our main idea. Exercising has many physical and emotional benefits. When I turn that into a question, I know I have my correct main idea because the rest of the paragraph spends time talking to me about all those different benefits. Now, I'm going to also add to this discussion our major, minor details. I'm going to kind of dissect the paragraph with you. So, as I said, major and minor details are there to give you more information about the main idea. Major details present a brand new reason, tip, benefit, whatever it might be, and minor details kind of piggyback or continue off of the major detail idea. You also, when you're looking for these, can use the assistance of what's called signal words or phrases. Words like first, second, third, another, for example, such as, those often establish a relationship between ideas and can direct you in the direction of where your major and minor details are located. And as I read, maybe you were already able to pick up on the use of these. One, another, third. So you can kind of see again how these are being used. And if we look at our dissection of our major minor details, this walks us through it. All of the major details are in black and the minor details are left in white. So what are my benefits of physical and emotional exercise here? One benefit is toned muscles. That's a brand new benefit. That's a major detail. Toned muscles, well, it doesn't give me a brand new benefit. This sentence directly supports the sentence before it. It goes into more detail. That's what makes it minor. Here's another sentence. Another benefit is flexibility. Brand new idea, brand new benefit. It's not talking about toned muscles anymore. This goes into more detail, so that makes it minor. Flexibility. We already learned about flexibility. A third benefit is stress relief. Brand new benefit. No longer talking about the previous idea of flexibility. Well, then it goes into more examples of stress relief there. And then our last major detail talks about weight loss. And the last couple sentences talk about that weight loss, their minor details. So that is an example of major minor details. And with main ideas, the rule is there's only ever one main idea per paragraph. With major and minor details, there is no set rule. You could have 5 of one and 1 of the other, or vice versa. So you have to really look and see, where is my main idea and what sentences are directly supporting it, giving me a brand new piece of information, and then what sentences are going into even more detail. All right, moving on to the next concept. Let me minimize that a little bit. So again, I'm going to recommend that you pause the video and have a chance to read this particular screen, because then we're going to talk about what inferences we can make based on this particular selection. Okay, hopefully you have paused the video, read the, I think it's a quite comical paragraph, but looking at this next screen, what can we logically infer? What kind of assumptions can we make? That the compact computer company receives large numbers of customer complaints, that calls for technical support suggest that some people know very little about computers, or computer companies cannot seem to make computers that are easy to use, and for that reason technical support lines are constantly busy. Well, they definitely talk about A, but Compaq is not the only company they mention. And we might think that for some cases, but B is probably our most logical inference, that there are some people out there who don't know a lot about computers, and those kind of logs prove that. All right. Now, as I mentioned again before, context clues. Using context clues, I like to use this acronym of LEADS. So context clues are those tips or hints an author provides to let you know the meaning of an unfamiliar or unknown word. So sometimes they might give you logic, common sense will kick in. They might give you an example of a clue of a word, an antonym or the opposite of a word, the definition, or a synonym. So let's take a look at some of these. Here's some examples. The nefarious gangster killed without remorse. Well, this is a logic clue because nefarious, even if you're not sure what that means, if we have someone killing without feeling guilty, nefarious probably means, ooh, this guy's pretty cold-hearted. This is a really dangerous, scary person. So that's common sense, kind of logic. An example, some herbivores, if I didn't know what an herbivore was, the next section goes, like the elephant or giraffe, those are examples of an herbivore, will feed on plants or low-hanging trees. So I have an example or a little explanation of what an herbivore is. Let's think about an antonym. This is a big clue right here. Words like unlike, however, on the other hand, in contrast, those all let you know we're doing like an opposite thing. Unlike the smooth rocks found in many stream and riverbeds, the rocks along the northeastern coast can be very craggy. So if I was not sure what craggy meant, up here it says unlike the smooth rocks. So that lets me know that craggy is the opposite of smooth, probably means rough. Sometimes the author will come right out and give you a definition. Lampreys are snake-like fish. Words like are, is, means, those are really powerful words we need to pay attention to when they're connected to an unfamiliar word, because odds are the author is providing you that definition. Or, like in this case, the pulmonary circuit, they put the definition inside commas. An author may do that with parentheses, dashes, brackets to let you know they're defining the word. And then finally, a synonym. The cliff was stratified, and each layer held several types of colorful rock. Well, if I wasn't sure what the word stratified meant, a couple words later tells me a synonym, the word layer. So that's an example of using context clues. All right, moving right along, patterns of organization. These are the most common patterns of organization. As I mentioned, our minds, if we can see a pattern or see how an author is organizing their writing, it allows us to understand it a little bit more. So authors can provide examples. They can structure a paragraph based on the definition of an unknown term or concept. They can give us the cause or the reasons and results of an event. They can compare and contrast, showing how something is similar and or how it's different. Classify, taking a pretty large topic and breaking it down into parts. Or they could just be listing items, ideas, examples. We also have time order, which is literally when something occurred. Your social studies books are set up like this. History books, like they're in time order, chronological order. Process order, how something happens, kind of like your science, like a life cycle process or setting up an experiment. Spatial order is where things are located physically, under, over, next to, that kind of thing. In addition, further information. So those are patterns of organization. Those are ways authors can organize their writing. If we can identify that, it allows us to understand more of what's happening in the paragraph. And then finally, critical thinking. We need to know the difference between a fact, something that can be proven true or false, an opinion, just a belief or a value or a judgment, and then an informed opinion is kind of like that gray area. You've done the research and you come to an opinion, but it's informed because you've done kind of the background work. The author's bias, do they have like a preference? Are they showing if they like or dislike something? Their tone, their attitude toward a topic, their purpose, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to convince you of something, give you information, tell you a story, entertain you, or really describe? And then their argument, are they trying to argue something? If so, what are they trying to argue? What's their point? All right. The last thing I wanted to take a couple minutes to show you, some links up here. If I click on that, this takes us to a practice just reading test. So when I go here, this walks you through some sample questions, and I always do these with my students in class, and I know that you are being provided handouts and links, so I would really recommend you looking through this particular practice because it does kind of set up nicely of what you can expect on the reading portion. Go through, try it. You'll see almost all of these are based off of a paragraph or more, asking questions about, oh, what can you conclude? What is the point being made? What's the main idea? And then the last couple questions are like vocabulary type questions. You do get access to the answer key, but I would really recommend you trying it on your own first to see how you do. And then what I really like about it is it goes into depth as to why each answer is what it is. So you know why you got that answer correct or incorrect. And then finally, this will make you create an account. But if you do so, you can have access to another practice test. So I would recommend creating an account if you haven't already done so, and so that you can have access to that. And that is kind of my information in terms of the ACCUPLACER reading. Again, my name is Dr. Linda Remark. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. My email, if you need to get a hold of me, is lremark@starkstate.edu. If you have any questions, always feel free to send one my way, and I can do my best to direct you where to go or answer the question. And good luck to everyone taking the ACCUPLACER, and perhaps I'll see some of you on campus.